Hi, everyone. Today is January the 29th. My name is Anne-Marie Band, and this is the Moneyball Morning Report for the Benzinga Pro platform. Here's what we're looking at. We have seen the last 4 trading days really try to punch higher, but we haven't stayed there. This morning, we take a look at our regression our regression curve, and we can see that it's upward, but it's giving a little bit of trouble. So my thought today is that the top of the Keltner band gives us a topping formation, and that's going to be invalidated if we break out above this 489 and some change, right? We can actually see that sellers are floating in a little bit around the 488.75 area, but all in all, pullbacks or buy zones. We're still making higher lows, and that is going to be an important event that we watch to see if it breaks. All right, so in the general space that we are looking at, and let me move my recording element out of the way. It doesn't seem to want to do that. Let's go to our 30-minute chart. This is what we're going to watch as the day transforms. We want to make sure of 2 things, and I've got the VWAP bands here. They're a little bit noisy in TrendSpider. Don't love them the way I like them in other platforms, but this will do. Notice, see this volume bar? That means everything's bunched up in the center. It's a very pretty bell. And so we are seeing rejection above, acceptance below. And you'll notice the bottom of the band is telling us when we need to buy, right? As it comes into the lower edges, just so long as it does not break this 486, pullbacks are going to be buy zones today in SPY. All right, we have those levels. What we want to really stare down is that first edge of the Keltner band at around 486. If it loses that edge, it is going to head into the bottom of the band. And so we want to be very careful about that. Looking at the Qs, same sort of sideways formation. Notice from a day, right? We're looking at a little bit more weakness than we see in the SPY. We are actually making lower highs. We're still making some jagged higher lows, and you can see the 620. Here's the curve. It's still telling us pullbacks or buy zones. If we want to draw something else, we can see that this is actually something that the chart could do. It could fade into the edge of this area, or it could keep this zone. So we're looking for pullbacks that are buy zones, looking at the edge of the band somewhere around 420 to 421. That's going to give us some price action that says, hey, maybe we can buy the dip. But the overall motion, though it says, hey, listen, you can buy, what the tight time frames are saying is we've got a sideways positioning. So what you want to do today is watch for the break of this event, right? Once it loses that 423, there's going to be a little bit of action that punches it down into 421, 422. All right, and this is the point of control. It says 420, 421.80 something, 421.90. That's what we're looking at. I think we've got a sideways day. My thought would be, listen, let it fade, come into support, give the support a go in terms of buying the dip. If you cannot get above the VWAP, you know there's a problem. All right, let's hop to the ES. Most of us trade the futures that watch this, and we can see that on a daily formation, the ES is still bullish, still holding the 4,900 area. Notice that's a little bit sloppy. Maybe it's the 48.98, 48.97. That dip buying is working. Notice we have not closed above the close of Thursday of last week. We have these wicks that collapse, and so that's what we're looking for. Are we above the close of Friday? Why, yes, we are. We are above the close of Friday, but we are below the close of Thursday and below the highs of Wednesday and Friday. So sellers are certainly sitting up in this patch. If we go into our 30-minute formations, we know look at that. I mean, wow, this is very pretty formations over here, give you very ugly formations to trade over here, a la range-bound types of behavior. And so here's what you want to watch. You want to watch the top of the bands and the loss of these levels to say, hey, I am going to sell this space, but see how this VWAP is trying to hold upward? That means they're buyers sitting underneath. So again, my thought would be, instead of looking for the short, look for the long until it breaks this VWAP, until it gets well underneath our Keltner channel. All right, just look for that. My thought is, once it loses the VWAP, let it fail the retest, and then you can take it down into these lower edges. This is an FOMC week. I do not believe traders are going to be positioning with size in front of these moves. All right, finally, we'll take a look at the, well, maybe not finally, but here we look at the NQs. Much like the SPY, looking a little bit weaker. I think being underneath 550 tells us that we have a little bit more selling pressure, but look at the slope, right? The slope of the Keltner channel tells us that dip buying is still afoot. So I'm going to remove this line because we've broken it, right? And now we're going to look at the sideways patch that says, hey, let me try and buy this 17,550 dip. Okay, let's go to the 30-minute. All right, so big picture says buy the dip. 30-minute says buy the dip also, but if I lose that VWAP, I'm going to buy the dip down here in the deeper standard deviation formations, right? So my thought is the sweet spot for upside pressure is going to be 424 or 17,424 or 17,450. That's going to be the sweet spot for the buy, is my suspicion. Okay, so thought-wise, I would say it's obeying the top of the VWAP band here. It should obey this, but notice the lower high. We've got ourselves a really tight and ugly formation in general that says wait for the edges to act. And if the edges break, then you know you've got breakaway or breakdown. Other than that, that's what we're looking at. All right. Lastly, and I have put the levels up for us in our channels. So lastly, let's take a look what's going on with oil. Right? A lot of geopolitical stuff coming in over the weekend, but notice we get up into this 79.30 area and just fall like a stone. So where are we going? You know, my thought, as I put up in our charts, my thought is that really we should look into formations in general, and those support formations. Where are we? The high of yesterday. Notice the band. Notice the slope of the VWAP. It's a little bit down. Notice the Keltner channel behind it. The Keltner channel is saying, listen, I've got a little sideways formation, right? This is the point of control, 76.60. Where's the sweet spot for me? You know, listen, we are making higher lows, but I would love to see it come down back into the 75 area, 75 and a couple of pennies to see if I can get a nice sweet run to the upside over the coming days. All right, that's it for me, folks. I'll see you on the platforms.